Welcome, Seeker of Forbidden Lore, to another archetype list from D6 Damage. Today I'm opening the books of sanity-shattering cosmic horror to bring you 4 awesome Lovecraftian archetypes for your next Pathfinder 1E game. And I'll be showing you how to go about harnessing the alien powers of long-dead gods for fun and profit. Warning. Long-dead gods might not actually be dead. D6 Damage is not responsible for insanity, dimensional incursions, or civilization-ending disasters brought on by tampering with powers man was never meant to wield. Let's start off by looking at the Elder Mythos Scholar. This is a wizard archetype, and it's kind of a combination of wizard, rogue, and alchemist. Think a specialist in fighting creatures associated with the Cthulhu mythos. This is a great archetype for the Strange Aeons Pathfinder campaign setting, or anywhere there's a high density of mythos monstrosities for you to fight. The first class feature altered by the archetype is Arcane Bond. You must choose a bonded object, either an amulet, ring, staff, wand, or weapon. The object is inscribed with eldritch runes. As an example, an amulet would be a talisman marked with the Elder sign. Or a staff would be like Solomon Kane's Staff of Solomon, a rod of extraterrestrial wood marked with unknown hieroglyphics. The next class feature is Eldritch Knowledge. You get 2 fewer uses of your first level arcane school ability, usable 3 times per day, plus intelligence modifier. But when you're subjected to a will save against a confusion, fear, insanity, or madness effect, you can spend 2 charges of your first level ability to roll your will save with your intelligence modifier instead of your wisdom modifier. However, the next time you sleep, you'll be subject to a nightmare. Nightmares deal 1d10 damage, and you cannot prepare arcane spells the next day. This ability is best used before downtime or travel. The nightmare must be experienced for you to gain any more uses of your school ability. Next class feature is Eldritch Grimoire. Adding spells to your spellbook costs twice the normal amount and consumes 1d6 more pages than normal. However, against creatures listed in your Talisman of Revealing class feature, think of this as your favorite enemy list. Your spells get a +2 caster level check bonus. This is useful for overcoming the spell resistance that many of the talisman monsters have. Also, the DC of your spell saving throws will increase by 1. The next class feature is Talisman of Revealing. When wielding or wearing your bonded item, you can spontaneously cast a special version of Detect Aberration. To do this, you must consume a prepared first level spell slot. And the spell can be used to detect the following: Behole, Color Out of Space, Deep One Elder, Denizen of Lang, Elder Thing, Flying Pulyop, Gug, Hound of Tindalos, Lang Ghoul, Lang Spider, Migo, Night Gaunt, Ratling, Shentok, Shoggoth, Spawn of Yog-Sothoth, Star Spawn of Cthulhu, Volnith, Wendigo, or Yithian. In addition, you gain a +2 circumstantial bonus to knowledge checks to identify these creatures, and a +2 bonus to spellcraft checks to identify effects they create. At 5th level, you add Invisibility Purge and See Invisible to your grimoire, and you can spontaneously cast them by sacrificing a prepared spell of the same level or higher. At 10th level, you add Banish Seeming and True Seeing to your grimoire, and you can cast them spontaneously in the same way. This ability replaces Scribe Scroll and the bonus feat you gain at 5th level and 10th level. Finally, there's Eldritch Infusion. You create a special potion that gives you, and only you, a +4 alchemical bonus to intelligence and reduces your wisdom and constitution scores by 2. Also, while under this effect, you add 1/2 your wizard level to perception checks to detect creatures from your Talisman of Revealing list. but you subtract the same amount from all other perception checks. Finally, your spells have a 20% miss chance unless they affect, summon, call, or contact a creature from your Talisman of Revealing list. This replaces your 8th level school ability. The next archetype is for the occultist called Talisman Crafter. This archetype has the ability to change touch attacks into ranged touch attacks, as well as allow other characters to cast your spells on their turn. Because the spell list of the occultist is determined by your implement schools, I highly recommend the Evocation and Conjuration schools for the Talisman Crafter. The first class feature is Talisman Implements. You do not gain implements as a normal occultist would, but instead you spend 1 hour, like Repaired Caster, in the morning, crafting master talismans for each of your implement schools. Next, Spellbound Talisman. At 2nd level, you can infuse spells you know that affect 1 or more creatures, but not an area, the caster, or create an effect. You place these spells into talismans. As an example, you could make a Talisman of Shocking Grasp, but not a Talisman of Burning Hands. When you inscribe a talisman, you expend 1 spell slot, as if you had cast the spell. You are in effect banking it. You can throw a talisman at a range of 20 feet as a ranged touch attack. This is a standard action that provokes attacks of opportunity. Alternatively, the talisman could be used as a touch attack. This does not provoke an attack of op. As an example, you could touch a zombie with a Cure Wounds talisman to inflict 1d8 plus 5 positive energy damage to it. Finally, if the talisman would affect more than 1 creature, its DC increases by 2. As an example, a Talisman of Scare, targeting 1 creature per every 3 levels, would have a +2 bonus to the DC. If your intelligence modifier was 4 and the spell level was 1, then the +2 bonus, it would get a DC of 17. Only you can activate your spellbound talismans. The talisman is active until the next time you prepare spells. Inscribing a talisman takes 1 minute of work. This replaces magic item skill and object reading. The next class feature is Shared Talisman. At 4th level, you can expend 1 point of mental focus to create a shared talisman. Anyone, not just the creator, can activate a shared talisman. Activating a shared talisman is a touch attack that does not provoke attacks of opportunity. Although, if it is thrown, it does provoke attacks of opportunity as normal. This ability replaces Shift Focus. Finally, at 5th level, you get Warding Seal. You can create magical traps called Warding Seals. You expend 1 point of mental focus to create a Warding Seal. This seal traps a spell you know in a location. You set both the location and the circumstances under which the effect will be triggered. This ability functions like the spell glyph option of the Warding Glyph spell, and consumes the spell slot of the spell the glyph will release. This ability takes 1 minute and replaces Aura Sight and the focus power gained at 5th and 17th levels. Next up, the Dimensional Occultist. This witch archetype has some enhancement to the witch's support kit, as well as strong themes for RP. The first class feature altered is your patron. As a Dimensional Occultist, you must select the Dimension's patron. The spells granted by the Dimension's patron are, at 2nd level, Hold Portal, at 4th level, Rope Trick, at 6th level, Blink, at 8th level, Dimensional Anchor, at 10th level, Lesser Planar Binding, at 12th level, Planar Binding, at 14th level, Banishment, at 16th level, Greater Planar Binding, and at 18th level, Gate. The next class feature is Dimensional Augmentation. At 2nd level, 1 time per day, you can augment a spell with impossible geometry, non-Euclidean mathematics, and occult formulae. This adds a material component, the paper you're writing on, sand, walls, or what have you, and a somatic component, the act of writing itself, to the spell. This also increases the casting time by 1 round per level of the spell. Now, casting a spell in this way takes longer, but it increases the caster level by +1. This is best used out of combat for spells that give benefits for having a higher caster level. As an example, Rope Trick would give you an additional hour of duration. You can augment an additional spell per day in this manner for every even-numbered witch level you have beyond 2nd. This replaces your 2nd level Hex. Next, at 8th level, you get Commune with Familiar. This is one of the Dimensional Occultist's best abilities. 1 time per week, you can cast Contact Other Planes as a spell-like ability. Also, you receive a +4 bonus to the intelligence check made to avoid intelligence and charisma damage. Having your intelligence and charisma damaged by the spell decreases them to 8. This lasts for a number of weeks, depending on who or what you tried to contact. Contacting the elemental plane requires a DC 7 intelligence check to avoid having your intelligence and charisma being reduced to 8. However, the elemental plane will give you only a 1 to 34 chance of receiving a true answer. At the other end of the spectrum, if you attempt to contact the realm of a greater deity, you have to make a DC 16 intelligence check or have your intelligence and charisma reduced to 8 for 5 weeks. On the plus side, though, you get a 1 to 88% chance of receiving a true answer. Now here's the really good part for the Dimensional Occultist. Even if you fail, the duration of the intelligence and charisma damage is only 24 hours. So you have no reason not to answer that Call of Cthulhu as often as you can. And remember, you can ask 1 question for every 2 witch levels you possess. This ability replaces your 8th level Hex. Finally, you get Dimensional Waypoint. At 12th level, you can spend 2d4 minutes setting a dimensional waypoint. Whenever you use planar travel to go to this place, you always arrive without mishap. Even spells like Plane Shift, which have a specified accuracy of between 5 and 500 miles, you will always arrive safely at your waypoint. You can have 1 additional waypoint for every 2 levels beyond 12th. The final Lovecraftian archetype I'd like to talk to you about is the Elder Mythos Cultist. This is a cleric archetype and allows for some interesting charisma-focused cleric builds. In order to be an Elder Mythos Cultist, you must be either chaotic neutral or chaotic evil. You must worship a great old one or outer god. Finally, you must select 1 and only 1 domain, either chaos, madness, or void, or a subdomain offered by your god. The first class feature is Forbidden Knowledge. You get a +2 bonus on knowledge planes, arcane, religion, history, or dungeoneering checks. You can make these checks untrained, and you get a +4 bonus instead of a +2 if the check is related to the Elder Mythos. Next you have Unhinged Mind. Your casting stat is Charisma instead of Wisdom. This determines your spells, save DCs, bonus spells per day, and other aspects normally governed by Wisdom. However, you take a -2 to all will saves against mind-affecting effects, and you automatically fail any confusion, insanity, or nightmare effect that is produced by a higher caster level than your character level. Next, you get Channel Void. You channel the powers of the void to harm anything made of flesh, living or dead, including non-skeletal undead and flesh golems. Resisting Channel Void is done with Fortitude instead of will saves. If a creature is killed by this effect, it is disintegrated. This class feature counts as channel energy, but is not considered positive or negative. As an example, you could take Channel Smite to deal damage to fleshy creatures, but not the Turn Undead feat. Finally, you get Maddening Gaze. At 5th level, 1 time per day, plus 1 time per day for every 3 levels after 5th, you gain a Gaze attack. This inflicts 2 points of wisdom damage and confusion and sickened to a target for 1d4 rounds. A will save negates all but the sickness for 1 round. At 11th level, the wisdom damage increases to 1d6 plus 1, and the confusion and sickness last for 2d4 rounds. You'll also get another increase at 19th level. This replaces the increases to channel energy gained at 5th, 11th, and 19th level. Thank you for watching D6 Damage. If you'd like to support my work outside of YouTube, check out Sorcerous, a dark fantasy mystery RPG available right now on Steam. Follow the link down in the description to watch the trailer. And if you're interested in more great Pathfinder 1e content, check out my channels on YouTube and BitChute. Finally, if you'd like to take your game further, join the D6 Damage Discord, where we have great conversations about character builds, class optimization, RP, and all aspects of Pathfinder and D&D.